My parents left for the airport without me. 5 tickets. 2 rooms. 1 forgotten passenger.
Me.
I found the itinerary sitting warm on the printer tray, the ink still fresh. My name wasn't on it. I scrolled through the pages twice, thinking maybe it was a mistake. But no, 5 names.
Mom. Dad.
My brother. His girlfriend. Even my sister. All checked in. All confirmed. I texted Mom, fingers shaking. Where are you? Did you forget me? Her reply came back almost instantly. We thought you backed out. You've been so moody lately.
Moody.
That was her word for me when I didn't smile through their favoritism. When I stayed quiet while they praised my brother for things I'd worked twice as hard to do. When I dared to expect equal treatment. I didn't reply. Not to her. Not to anyone. But then my phone buzzed again, this time for my brother. A photo of a handwritten note he'd left for his friends. He's gonna flip when he sees the photos. So this wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate.
Planned.
My name is Ethan Carter. I'm 25 years old. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the family that tries to erase you suddenly realizes you were the one holding the strings all along? I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I opened the travel app on my phone, the same one I'd used to make the reservations. The €13,000 booking was still under my account, my credit card, my control. One tap. Cancel. At 6:30 a.m., my phone lit up like fireworks. 37 missed calls.
Dad. Mom.
My brother. I smiled in the quiet, sipping my coffee. Enjoy. By the time the sun broke through my blinds, my phone was still buzzing, vibrating across the nightstand like it was alive. Voicemail after voicemail, each one more frantic than the last. Dad's voice first, low and thunderous. Ethan, what did you do? Do you have any idea how much money this cost? Call me back immediately. Then Mom's, clipped and desperate. You've ruined everything. We're standing at the check-in counter, and they're telling us the booking is gone.
Gone.
Fix this now. I played my brother's last, and it was the one that made me laugh. His voice, smug but cracking at the edges. This isn't funny. You're gonna regret this. Just fix it before Dad loses it. Regret. That was the word he always threw at me when I refused to cover his gas money, when I wouldn't help with his assignments, when I told him no. Now he finally tasted it. While they raged at the airport, I poured myself another cup of coffee, flipped on the TV, and stretched across the couch. For once, I wasn't the forgotten passenger. I was the one steering the trip. And what they didn't know, canceling was only the first step. Because with one click, the refund, every cent of that €13,000 was heading back into my account.
My card.
My control. By 9 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. We're stranded. This is humiliating. If you don't fix this right now, don't bother coming back home. I stared at the words, a slow grin spreading across my face. Don't bother coming back home?
Perfect.
That was exactly the plan. By noon, the flood of calls slowed into silence. I imagined them slumped at the airport, luggage piled around them, whispering excuses to angry staff. My brother's girlfriend probably scrolling her phone, regretting ever tagging along. I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. Because here was the truth. The trip had been my idea. I was the one who found the package, the resort, the flights. I was the one who booked it all, on my credit card because Dad insisted it'll build credit, son. Don't worry, we'll pay you back. But somehow, by the time the tickets were printed, I wasn't a passenger anymore. I was just the bank. For weeks, I told myself maybe they'd surprise me. Maybe they planned to add my name later, that they just forgot to print my boarding pass. But that note my brother left, he's gonna flip when he sees the photos. That erased any illusion. They hadn't forgotten me. They'd erased me on purpose. So yes, I canceled it. And yes, I took back the refund. €13,000, mine again. That afternoon, Mom tried once more. Her text was short, trembling. Ethan, we'll talk when we get home. Just please don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. The fear in her words said it all. Dad's reputation was built on generosity, on being the provider, the man who took his family on lavish trips. What would people say when they learned it had all been me? I typed back one word: enjoy. Because the photos they planned to take, the ones meant to mock me, would never exist. And the story they thought they controlled was already slipping out of their hands. By the next morning, the whispers had already begun. My cousin texted first. Your dad said there was a mix-up with the airline. But Uncle Joe swears he overheard your mom saying you canceled the whole trip. What's going on? Then came another. Wait, weren't you the one who booked everything? People are saying you paid for it. The truth was seeping out, faster than they could contain it. And the more they scrambled to spin their story, the more obvious it became. I didn't post, didn't rant, didn't share screenshots. Not yet. All I did was let a few family members connect the dots. A quiet nod here, a short reply there. Yeah, the trip was on my card. Yeah, I saw the itinerary. My name wasn't there. That was enough. By noon, Dad called again, his voice tight with fury. Ethan, listen to me carefully. You will tell them it was a mistake. You'll say you panicked and canceled by accident. Do you hear me? If you embarrass me over this. I cut him off. Embarrass you? You left me behind, Dad. 5 tickets, and not one had my name. You weren't planning to take me. You were planning to humiliate me. The only embarrassment here is yours. For once, he had no comeback. Just silence. I hung up before he could recover, my hands steady, my chest lighter than it had felt in years. Because for the first time, I wasn't the forgotten son, the overlooked passenger, the quiet shadow. I was the one pulling the strings, and he knew it. And the real fallout hadn't even started. By the weekend, the story had spread beyond whispers. At Sunday lunch, Grandma called me herself. Her voice was calm, but edged with disappointment. Ethan, tell me the truth. Did you really pay for that trip? And did they really leave you behind? I swallowed hard.
Yes, Grandma.
Every cent came from my account. And yes, they printed the tickets without me. 5 seats, not 6. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. I always suspected your father leaned on you too much. But this is cruel. By evening, my phone buzzed with more messages. A cousin wrote, your dad looked like a fool at church. Everyone asked why you weren't with them. He said you had work. Nobody believed him. Another friend of the family posted a cryptic status online. Funny how some parents forget which kid holds the receipts. The cracks in Dad's image weren't cracks anymore. They were fissures. Meanwhile, Mom's tone shifted again. Her text at midnight. Ethan, please stop talking to people. You're making it worse. We'll pay you back, just don't ruin us. But I hadn't ruined them. I'd only told the truth. The ruin was theirs, and now, the mask they wore for years was slipping in front of everyone. Sitting on my couch, I looked at the refund notice on my banking app. 13,000 euros, safe and secure in my account. The money they thought they'd enjoy without me was now fueling something else, my freedom. Because this wasn't just about payback. It was about finally breaking free from a family that saw me as nothing but a wallet and a servant. And the best part? I hadn't even shown my full proof yet. The following week, Dad's calls turned from threats to bargaining. Ethan, he said in one voicemail, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it. We'll work this out. Just stop talking to people. You don't understand the damage you're causing. The damage I was causing. As if it hadn't been his betrayal that started it all. Meanwhile, my brother's smugness had vanished. He texted late one night. You didn't have to go this far. People are dragging me online. Some of my friends saw the note I left. How did that even get out? I smirked at the screen. I hadn't shared it. But all it took was one cousin snapping a photo when I showed them, and suddenly the joke was making its rounds. His words, he's gonna flip when he sees the photos, had become a punchline. And he was the joke. Mom tried one last angle. Think about family, Ethan. Think about how you'll feel when we're gone. Do you really want things to end like this? I stared at her message before typing back. You ended it when you left me off the tickets. But while they spiraled, I was building. The refund wasn't just sitting in my account. I'd already put part of it down on something they never expected, a small loft of my own. Papers signed, deposit made. A home free of their control. And when I finally moved in, the silence of my own space felt like thunder. They thought they'd left me behind. But really, I'd moved forward. And soon everyone would know it. By February, their carefully polished story had shattered. At family gatherings, people no longer asked why I hadn't gone on the trip. They asked why my name wasn't even on the tickets I had paid for. Dad tried to insist it was a mistake, but the cousins weren't buying it. Strange mistake, one had said, considering it cost 13,000 euros. The final blow came when Grandma spoke up. My cousin relayed it to me word for word. If Ethan hadn't canceled, you would have happily gone without him. That's the truth, isn't it? Dad didn't answer. He just got up and left the room. Meanwhile, I was settling into my new loft. My own furniture. My own keys. My name alone on the lease. For once, I wasn't an afterthought. I was building something that belonged only to me. But I wasn't done. One Saturday, I posted a single photo online. The view from my loft's balcony, sunlight streaming across the city. Caption: funny how being left behind can lead you exactly where you belong. No names. No accusations. But everyone knew. The comments poured in. Support. Admiration. Subtle digs at my parents. My brother even tried commenting, "Don't believe everything you read." But it backfired instantly. People flooded the thread with questions he couldn't answer. That night, Dad called again, his voice hollow. "Ethan, what do you want? Money? An apology? Just tell me what it'll take to stop." For years, I'd begged for scraps of acknowledgement. Now he was the one begging. And I realized I didn't want anything from him anymore. They had taken me for granted. I had taken back everything. Spring sunlight spilled through my loft's windows as I brewed coffee in my own kitchen, the quiet hum of peace wrapping around me. No shouting, no guilt, no being treated like luggage that could be left behind. Just silence and freedom. Meanwhile, their world had shrunk. Word had traveled through the family and beyond. The lavish Christmas trip that collapsed, the truth that it had been booked on my card, the revelation that they had deliberately excluded me. Their friends pulled away, neighbors whispered, even co-workers avoided their table in the break room. The photos they had planned to flaunt never existed. Instead, the only story people remembered was how they stranded their own son. One last letter came in the mail, Dad's handwriting jagged and rushed. "We went too far."
I see that now.
"But did you have to ruin us completely?" I read it once, then folded it neatly and slid it into a drawer. Not to revisit, but to remind myself of one truth. I hadn't ruined them. They'd ruined themselves the moment they thought I was disposable. That evening, I invited a few close friends over. We ate takeout on the floor, laughing until the city lights blinked on outside. For once, I felt whole, not because of what I had taken back from my family, but because of what I had built for myself. As I stood on the balcony later, I whispered into the night, "They left me behind, and it was the best gift they ever gave me." Because poetic justice wasn't revenge. It was this, a life on my own terms, free, steady, untouchable. They had tried to erase me. Instead, I walked away unforgettable.